Have you ever stopped to consider just how much of our life revolves around the very simple fact that we will die someday? We work to earn money so that we can eat or so that we could get better health care. We have a midlife crisis because we know that our lives are almost over and we haven't accomplished the goals that we wanted to. We hope that we someday don't get some kind of terminal illness because everyone knows that cancer sucks. We fear disease outbreaks, we fear violent crimes. I could go on forever. Almost every single aspect of our life is in some way shaped entirely by the fact that we will die. But what if we didn't? What if we never had to fear death? What if diseases were cured and people that died could be resurrected? What if when you were old, you could be made young again, but still keep all of your memories intact? I've had conversations with elderly people who said that they are ready to go because they've lost loved ones and the people that they've held dear to their lives. But what if they didn't have to lose those people either? What if everyone could live forever? How would that change society? Neil Shusterman asks the question with his Scythe series, what if we got everything we wanted? In the world that Shusterman has created, mankind created a benevolent AI that took over the responsibilities of running most every aspect of the world. Diseases were gone, lives could be extended, dead people could be resurrected. And if those problems were solved, what problems might arise? Well, the most obvious issue would be overpopulation, because if no one ever died, eventually, even if you managed it as best as possible, the world's resources would run out. Well, the artificial intelligence that runs the entire world, in this book it's called the Thunderhead, could make the decision of who to kill, but that reaches into some sci-fi dystopian territory that we're familiar with, where if AIs have the option to kill people, it goes badly. So in this world, the AI is not tasked with killing people, but how will the population be controlled? Shusterman created an organization in this world called the Scythedom, and it is the Scythe's job to, as honorably and as solemnly as possible, ensure that overpopulation doesn't overtake the world, and they are the sole people who have the ability to kill people without them being resurrected. So most people would go on living their lives normally and resurrecting if they died and de-aging themselves as they get too old. And periodically, scythes would come and you would see them and they would kill someone and those people would not be resurrected. And that would take the place of the normal natural causes of death that we experience every day. So death still happens, but it's not natural and it's not common. What do you think that would do to society? There's a lot of very obvious implications. For one, the famous saying, necessity is the mother of invention, indicates that when people are put into a situation where they are forced to innovate, they do. But what if you're never forced to? What would that do for creativity? What would that do for invention, for striving for progress? Would that just cease? And a big question is, what about religion? If you never died, and you were rarely faced with the prospect of death, how would that change your outlook on the view of the world? If you have mankind create an artificial intelligence who fills in the role of God, what does that mean for the rest of religion? Is there a need for religion at that point? One of the most important questions, and the final one that I'll ask here is, if mankind creates a benevolent AI, and then mankind creates the Scythedom to take care of people, what about human nature? What happens with the natural inborn propensity for man to do evil or to abuse their power? These are the questions that get answered and explored and delved into in just a wonderfully interesting way in this series. The first book in the trilogy, Scythe, is my favorite one. It's so tight and it wraps all of these questions. It doesn't delve super deep into a lot of them, but it brings them all to mind, makes you think about them, and then has a very tight storyline that concludes oh so perfectly at the end. The second book in the series is called Thunderhead, and it explores a lot of the intricacies of this world through the perspective of this benevolent AI, the Thunderhead. And the final book in the series, well, I can't really talk about that one without spoiling things from the first two, but it tries to wrap up just the insanity that has ramped up over the first two books. This series is super fascinating because of these questions and the way that it goes about exploring them and exploring these topics and answering some of them and leaving some of them to the imagination in a way where I would recommend this series to anyone who thinks this is at all interesting, the things that I'm saying, the questions that I'm asking. Of course, it's been recommended everywhere for good reason. It is a very good series of books that is very thought-provoking and also very action-packed as well. I give the first book a 5-star rating and the second 2 books 4-star ratings. I finished all 3 of them within a short time span though because I love them so much. You guys should definitely go check them out. If you thought this video was interesting and you want to see more of my videos, please remember to subscribe, hit the bell button to get notifications. You can also like this and leave a comment down below. If you've read this series, let me know your thoughts. If you want to read this series and have questions on maybe whether you should read it or not, ask them. I'll let you know anything I can. In some ways, I feel like I'm maybe the last person to this party, but if there is someone who hasn't read this, I really want to recommend it to them. Now, before I wrap this video all the way up, there is a couple spoilery thoughts that I have. If you've read these books already, then this is for you. This part's for you. And if you haven't read these books, I hope that you read them and then come back later. So as much as I love this series, there were a couple things in the books that really kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And thankfully, as I've gotten older, I've turned into a little bit more of I can enjoy the journey even if the destination isn't my favorite, or I can enjoy pieces of a journey even if parts of the journey bother me. So here's what I'm going to say is that first book for Scythe, I thought was flawless. The second book, Thunderhead, did one of the tropes that I find most easy to do poorly, which is the resurrection trope. When they resurrect the bad guy from the first book, I was extremely disappointed because I thought that arc went so well in the first book, and then I wish they would have just kept the movement of the bad guys going with some new characters. They could have introduced something new, but having the character be resurrected in the way that they did not add anything, I thought, to the story. It made for a big moment later on, but it definitely, though, messed up how good it was in that first book. I didn't like the way they used the resurrection trope for Goddard and Rand. I never felt okay with it. And the final thing that I kind of want to nitpick is the end of the book, the very end of the book. I hope you've clicked away if you don't want spoilers for this book. But when they figure out the failsafe for what to do when the Scythes are corrupted, which they already knew that they could become corrupted. We figure out that the Scythe was originally corrupted. It was corrupted way faster than we thought it was, and they all killed each other. And when the good guys reach this place and they use the Scythe rings and they open up the cave and they figure these things out, and then they trigger the failsafe for what would happen if the Scythe becomes corrupted later on. It essentially creates a completely random disease that kills people at the correct rate without A, using the Thunderhead, and B, having any sorts of actual prejudices in the way that the Scythes were supposed to. It should have just been their first solution. I don't know why. If somebody wants to defend that choice in the comments below, I do want to have that conversation. Why didn't they just do that in the first place? Why didn't they just have an impartial thing? Was it supposed to be like an honorable thing that killing people was more respectful? But if they knew that it could become corrupted, why didn't they just do that in the first place? It seems like it was a way more fair, way less prone to error way to deal with the overpopulation. Then again, we also could talk about the fact that early on there were space explorations. They could have just done that earlier, but at some point Goddard went and screwed everything up. That part's kind of taken care of, but like, was that part even necessary? If they can, at the end, when they send people to other spaces, maybe, I don't know this, do those people also have to die? Or can they just keep sending more space out and spreading humanity across the civilization? I don't know. If you have thoughts on that, let me know in the comments below. If you're still here, thank you for watching. Once again, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Give me a like, Leave comments below if you want to talk about this book. Make sure that if you're talking spoilers, you do a spoiler thing and try to leave some space so people don't accidentally read spoiler comments. Thank you guys for watching my video. I'm glad to be back on BookTube. It's been a very long time. I'm hoping to get back into this game. Thank you all again for watching. I love you all. Bye.
I must confess that my loneliness is killing me now. Don't you know I still believe that you will be here and give me a sign. Hit me, baby.